Hi, I'm Marty Cohn, and welcome to PR Benefits, a show that explores the role of public relations in the COVID-19 era. I've been a PR practitioner for over 45 years, helping a wide array of organizations successfully communicate their messages to targeted audiences. I mistakenly thought that 9/11 would be the watershed event in my lifetime. Communicating in the aftermath of that tragic event was challenging. Then came the global economic crisis of 2008 with more lessons in crisis communications. However, 12 years later, we have the coronavirus pandemic and new challenges in uncharted waters have emerged. My guest today is Jenny Smith, founder of Acuity PR in Hartford, Connecticut, in 2012. Prior to founding her own firm, she headed public relations departments at two agencies, communications for two United Way organizations, and marketing for an OEM endoscope manufacturer. She currently provides PR and content marketing to home care agencies, retirement communities, technology associations, and OEM manufacturers. Jenny holds an MBA in international marketing from Rensselaer Polytech University, Hartford, and a BA in journalism from Ohio Wesleyan University. Wow. In 2008, she was named Public Relations Practitioner of the Year by the Public Relations Society of America's Connecticut chapter. Jenny served as marketing volunteer for New England First. First stands for First Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. Wow, that is fantastic. Which inspires young people aged 6 to 18 across Connecticut to be science and technology leaders through mentor-based programs that teach technology concepts and teamwork skills through robotics. Welcome, Jenny.
Marty, thanks so much for having me today.
Well, it's really been fun. I've been looking forward to hearing about what's going on in Connecticut. And I also love doing these introductions because when I say I'm talking to seasoned PR professionals, I like to prove the fact that I am talking to seasoned professionals. And what you're about to say, people should stand up and listen. All right, but before we get to that, I said all these, I talked about some highlights, but how did you get started in public relations?
Well, it's interesting, Marty, because as you mentioned, my undergraduate degree at Ohio Wesleyan University was in journalism. I wanted to be a reporter. I wanted to go out and tell the stories. I wanted to uncover truths, and was delighted to be in the journalism program at Ohio Wesleyan. I served on the student newspaper. A couple of my fellow classmates in the journalism program went out and formed our own independent alternative newspaper when I was a senior there. We had a great time. We uncovered some stories that the establishment newspaper didn't. And I think that was my original intention. Got out of school in 1982, and yes, I'm dating myself, and decided that I wanted to first get a job in Cleveland. At that point, we were in a recession. The Cuyahoga River in Cleveland was burning. There was a great recession going on. And my first concern was, well, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get a job in journalism that is able to pay the bills. So let me see what I can get out there in fields and professions that were similar. And so I took a job for Ohio Newswire, which was a precursor to what is now known as PR Newswire. This is back when PR Newswire had different state organizations, and I worked for them. At the same time, I was working as I guess you could say for the better sense of the word, as a gopher for a woman who owned her own marketing communications agency in Cleveland. So I was doing part-time work for an independent agency owner, and that's probably where I got the seed of what I'm doing now. And then I was working for Ohio Newswire. I also had a stint with Higbee's Advertising as a copywriter. So all of those things enabled me to pay the bills.
Wow. That's great. Well, that's quite varied, and but then you finally make your way back to Connecticut. So what I'd like to talk about now is I'm kind of dividing things up into pre, during, and post COVID. So thinking back for a second, what are some of the highlights of your pre-COVID-19 career?
Pre-COVID-19 career.
Right. You don't have to go that far
Many,
back.
many. I think working as communications director for the United Way of Puerto Rico, Fondos Unidos de Puerto Rico, in the late 80s was a really seminal moment in my career. I had the opportunity to work there, took my semi-proficient Spanish to another level when I got there. Was fortunate to be in an organization that was bilingual, and that helped me do my job. I was really fortunate to get to know a great group of people, to be able to go around the island and visit all of the agencies that United Way funded, to tell the stories in Spanish and English through newsletters. I got to work with the Leo Burnett advertising organization on the island to put together campaign videos. That was a really seminal moment in my career,
That's
and
neat.
and to work in the United States, which Puerto Rico is part of the United States. At the same time, learn a language and a culture that I don't come from, but that I feel a great affinity to even today.
I just learned something new about you. That is fantastic, Jenny. Wow. Um, and have you been back to Puerto Rico?
Well, the National Network of Public Relations Professionals that I belong to, the Public Relations Consultants Group, in fact, had its annual meeting in Puerto Rico in late January.
So did you get to connect with some folks or?
Absolutely. It was great to connect with my colleagues and some other friends around the island. So yes, it was a wonderful experience.
That's great. All right. Well, that was in January, which seems like, oh,
A
ages.
million years ago. A
A million.
million years ago.
All right. So I mentioned, one of your specialties now is dealing with a certain population that is very susceptible. So what are you doing for your clients during COVID-19?
So I'm currently doing work for home care organizations. I'm working for an individual who has a website to help older adults and their even older parents determine how they want to live their lives in the future. And I've done work for a couple different aging communities, life care communities, or life plan communities as they're called now.
Right.
And I think I started evolving into that area through experiences that I had with my own aging loved ones, with my father who died of lymphoma and amyloidosis in 2013, with both of my in-laws who have since passed away and spent time in rehabilitation and nursing homes. And then now with my mother, who is happy in a retirement community in Florida, and I'm seeing the wonderful benefits that older adults can have in living in communities, the sense of community, purpose, socialization that they get. And all of those things have been coming together for me over the past few years and really helping inform how I serve clients in that space.
Okay. And so moving to today, are you spending what kind of counsel are you doing now during the COVID? Is there a role for PR during this COVID-19?
Absolutely. And I guess I'll throw out several words that I would like to use to describe how I'm helping my clients, and then also how our industry is helping clients. And I think, having accurate information, up-to-date information. Obviously, information is always changing on COVID and how we're dealing with it and what we're learning about it every day, but trying to be as accurate and up-to-date as possible,
Sure.
being transparent and consistent in how we communicate. providing helpful information. And I think so many out there we're seeing that this is not necessarily the time to do the hard sell. This is
Right.
the time that we need to look at our audiences, look at our customers, our clients, and really provide helpful information that gives them confidence in their decisions to move forward. And then finally, I think that we have an obligation to provide hope and to give people a path and to say, you know, we've seen these kinds of events in our history. This isn't the first, it won't be the last. We will get through it. And here are some steps to take to keep your family safe, to safely reopen your business. And so with the home care organization I'm currently working with, we're putting consistent updates on their website to help both the families and the clients, but also the caregivers that they're hiring who are putting themselves at risk and going out into the community. So all of those ingredients come together in the type of advice and counsel and support that I'm providing. And that doesn't go just for the senior living and home care organizations, that goes for all organizations. I'm currently working with a manufacturer, a client that is working with manufacturing, and we're developing checklists on how to safely reopen, what you should do to help your employees, what are the steps and the considerations for management. So all of those things are important. And again, this goes back to, let's be helpful first and sell later. And by being helpful, you're also positioning the organization for the future.
Great. That is definitely something that I think a lot of people are learning, and these are things that we knew as PR folks, we knew about crisis communications, but I think that we are breaking some new ground in terms of these new checklists.
Yes.
It segues for me thinking about we're gonna open up, and what do you think is the role of public relations as we move into what's been called the new normal, air quotes, new normal?
Again, I'll go back to the helpful part, and that is looking at, you know, what is the latest and current and accurate information, and providing that consistently and transparently to our clients, and advising them on how they communicate with their customers on those principles. And so it goes back to the accuracy, consistency, transparency, being helpful, and providing hope.
Now, do you think that when all is said and done, you know, the role of a PR practitioner, I mean, I can say I've always put PR at the top of the pinnacle in terms of communications. That was me. But do you think that as we go forward, businesses, organizations are going to turn to PR folks more, or maybe listen a little bit differently than they have in the past?
Well, I think public relations has been redefining itself probably for the last decade. The advent of social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, any number of platforms that are out there, we as public relations professionals are redefining how we reach out. Public relations has always been about establishing two-way communication. Two-way, transparent communication, and a dialogue between parties. And I think social media is helping us do that. And now with COVID-19, we've already seen the explosion of social media around all of the issues surrounding COVID. And I see it's very hopeful that so many social media communications are focusing on, you know, how do we strike that balance between economic recovery and public health and public safety? And I'm really heartened to see so many media outlets and so many social media platforms doing that and really banding together and creating that unity.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. A concern that I have, and I believe that we've seen this growth in social media. I'm worried about the media channels that are going to exist. You know, I believe, I've always believed in journalism. I also believe, I love to hold a newspaper in my hand, a little old school there, although I have been reading more and more online. But the economics of the newspaper itself, with the decrease in advertising, et cetera, I'm worried about how many more outlets will remain. And we have to rely on new communication channels to get those messages out.
Absolutely. I'm equally concerned about the consolidation of media. And we're seeing that every year. There's the media, a voice and power is becoming concentrated in fewer and fewer hands in corporate entities. And that is a concern for sure. But with that, we're also seeing more independent channels emerge. I go back to all the fundamental lessons in journalism is before you react to a story or a source, check it out on 5 different outlets. Go to 5 different channels and see what's happening on that. And that is what I think is going to help us maintain a certain level of objectivity.
Amen. Amen. I mean, facts matter, and we have to be careful, you know, what's being put out there and look at the sources. And I think for the most part, I have a lot of faith in PR people putting out good, accurate information. And I know that that's gonna continue. And you know, and I share your optimism for the future in that. Jenny Smith, Acuity PR, Hartford, Connecticut. Thank you so much for being on PR Benefits.
Marty Cohn, thank you so much for having me. And
Okay.
good luck with your program.
All right. Thank you so much. And Jenny, stay healthy.
I certainly will.
All righty. Bye now.
Bye-bye.